Athletes are usually treated with the utmost respect and given star status, especially if they become a hit with the audience. Becoming an athlete is a good way to have the best of both worlds, being famous and also holding a respectable job title. However, not all athletes can handle both these titles, and some are famous because of the controversies they've caused. In this video, we'll be talking about the most controversial things athletes have done in history. First up, we have O.J. Simpson. Even if you're not a sports fanatic, you're probably familiar with O.J. Simpson. Simpson was one of the biggest names in sports in the 1990s, but who knew he'd become one to remember for the years to come, but for all the wrong reasons. In 1994, he was accused of killing his wife, Nicole Brown, and another man. As if things weren't bad enough, Simpson made a run for it and drove away from the cops and made them follow him for hours. The entire incident was televised and is still recalled as one of the craziest moments in sports history. He was caught, and his trial began later on. A lot of DNA evidence was found against him as well. Seems like a clear case, right? Only a guilty man would make a run for it, and with the DNA evidence, what else do you need to convict Simpson? Apparently, even that kind of evidence wasn't enough. OJ was declared not guilty and walked out of court an innocent man. A random but interesting fact, Robert Kardashian, Kim Kardashian's dad, was OJ's lawyer in this case. Small world indeed. Speaking of people in Hollywood, we remember Mike Tyson from his cameo in the Hangover movies, and also because of his nickname the baddest man on the planet. But little did we know how literally he would take it. Tyson is infamous for many different controversies, his most recent one being the airplane attack in 2022. However, that isn't even the worst one he's done. In 1992, he was convicted of the rape of an 18-year-old. He was given a 6-year sentence, but was released after serving only 3 years. His other controversies include biting Evander Holyfield's ear and sending death threats to Lennox Lewis, among others. You'd think that a person with such a violent history would be spending time away from the limelight since his controversies are so well known, but shocker, it's quite the opposite. In fact, Tyson is expected to appear in an upcoming Bollywood movie, Liger. Good thing it's an action movie. Tyson wouldn't have to act much in it since he's such a natural at it. Next up, we have Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez was quite the name in football before he got famous for all the wrong reasons. In 2013, Hernandez was arrested for the murder of a semi-pro football player, Odin Lloyd. He was found guilty and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole in 2015, but that was the only crime he was guilty of. It was after Lloyd's death that officials reopened the case of 2 immigrant cleaners and Sapphira Furtado. They had been shot dead a year prior to Odin Lloyd's murder, but it wasn't until he was arrested for Lloyd's murder that the police were able to link their murder to Hernandez. In 2017, he was acquitted to a double murder. Eventually, in April 2017, Hernandez hung himself in his prison cell. A Netflix documentary was released which goes further in depth into the life of Aaron Hernandez and investigates what could have caused him to do such a thing. Hernandez wasn't the only athlete who had a documentary made on his scandal. In fact, Tonya Harding had a whole movie made on hers. The Tonya Harding scandal is probably one of the biggest scandals in sports history. It was on January 6, 1994 that Nancy Kerrigan was done with her practice for the U.S. Figure Skating Championship and was heading to the changing room while a cameraman recorded her. When she disappeared inside, the cameraman was about to put his camera away when he heard screams from inside the room. He rushed inside and saw Nancy curled on the floor howling in pain. She explained that someone had struck her above the knee right before the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. Luckily, Kerrigan was not injured too badly, but bad enough for her not to be able to compete in the championship. Since the incident was caught on tape and was released to the public, they could only point fingers at Kerrigan's rival in competing, Tonya Harding. These allegations would soon fall into place because only after a few days later, the FBI arrested the attacker who confessed that he had been hired by Tonya Harding's husband, Jeff Gillooly. Both of them were arrested, and in their questioning, they claimed that Harding was also a part of this entire plan. We can only imagine how fired up the media was with all this. This was like a drama serial come to life. People were glued to their TVs waiting for the next update on the case. The public already had a villainous image of Harding prior to the attack. They always thought of Harding as the jealous kind, and to be fair, Kerrigan was the skater who was getting all the sponsorships and had a more likable personality. So when it was released to the public that Tonya Harding was involved in the attack, it was like their drama serial dreams came true. Harding, however, much to the public's dismay, denied any involvement in the attack. It is a conspiracy whether Tonya was ever involved in the attack. She did plead guilty, however, for not reporting her husband's crime in a timely manner, and was sentenced to a $100,000 fine and 500 hours of community service. To this day, Tonya claims her innocent and was recently given the platform to speak her truth in the movie I, Tonya, in which Margot Robbie plays Tonya Harding. The movie gives a new perspective to the entire case, which was never presented to the public at first. They hear the events in Tonya's words herself. Next up, we have Lance Armstrong. To say that there was never any kind of speculation around Armstrong's performance would be a lie. Winning the Tour de France 7 times in a row was obviously no piece of cake, and it did raise some questions. Armstrong, of course, denied all the allegations and claimed he had never tested positive for any performance-enhancing drugs. However, all of Armstrong's claims would be proven as lies in July 2012. When the United States Anti-Doping Agency accused him of doping, they had evidence, as Armstrong's old teammates gave testimonies against him, and after his blood samples were taken, the allegations were proven true 3 months later. Armstrong had been taking performance-enhancing drugs and had lied about them for the longest time and had almost gotten away with it. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey, Armstrong admitted that he doped his way through the 7 Tour de France, and in his own words, said that the mythic perfect story was one big lie. That is probably why he is the most well-known writer in cycling history, but we're pretty sure he doesn't hold his head up high because of this title, with the story that comes with it. Our final athlete was walking around proudly with a golf stick in his hand as he was in his prime when his controversy took place. But no one, not even Tiger Woods himself, could have imagined how his perfect career could come to such a sudden downfall. We remember the Tiger Woods scandal mainly because of the uproar it created back in 2009. The media's reaction to the news is one that no one can forget, but people vaguely remember what Woods was actually accused of. That is probably because it was, again, a treat for the general audience when they saw clips of Woods' wife chasing him out of his own house with a golf club as he sped away in a car. People were curious as to what could cause such a thing. Woods seems to have a perfect life, a loving wife, and beautiful kids. A perfect career that only seemed to be getting even better with each game. What could possibly go wrong? Well, turns out it can be some messages between him and his lover. Actually, correction, lovers. Not 2, not 3, but wait for it, 12. That's right, 12 lovers. The messages were leaked to the public, and a front cover story was posted about the infidelity. Woods was shamed publicly. In the prime of his career, so much so that he announced that he will be taking time off from golfing as well. Later on, his wife filed for divorce and lost custody of his kids. What seemed like the perfect life to the public turned out to be nothing but a facade. However, Woods has made a return to golfing in recent years, but remains away from any kind of spotlight and for all the right reasons. And that's a wrap for this video. What do you think was the most controversial thing these athletes did? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.